Alanya, why are you being at Dad's funeral right now, huh?
Why are you asking me why? Isn't it obvious? I'm at his funeral, mourning his death with all of his relatives who were invited to come.
How dare you pretend like he was your dad, Alanya? You were acting like you were a part of his family during yesterday's wake, too. Do you have any idea how furious I was at seeing your face?
But I am his daughter, and I wanted to pay my respects to him as well.
What? Are you delusional or something? It's extremely disrespectful and inappropriate to sit with his family when you're nothing but an adopted child.
What? I know I was adopted, but he raised me like I was his own daughter ever since I was a little girl. I don't even have any memories of who my real parents were.
It doesn't matter whether he raised you or not. You're not actually related to him by blood. You're not related to me either. I only call you my sister out of courtesy. But I don't really consider you my sister, all right? But I'm the daughter of a CEO, so I have to watch my words, right? I feel like I'm being tortured whenever I have to call you my sister. But I have no choice.
Destiny, why are you always so cruel to me?
Why shouldn't I be cruel to you? Even though you weren't even Dad's real child. He always favored you over me, his actual daughter, for some goddamn reason. But just because I call you my sister doesn't mean you can act like you're his daughter at his funeral. Dad was always kind to you, but I'm not going to follow his example. I'm his real daughter, not you. You're basically just a stranger to him, you know?
I'm sorry. I didn't know you felt that way all the time. I guess it must have been hard for you to see your father treat us so differently. But still, what you're saying is just too much. Just because I wasn't related to him by blood doesn't mean that we don't have a genuine bond as father and daughter.
Shut up. Just get out of the funeral right now. I don't want to listen to any of your lies. Ugh. I always hated how you were like this. Every time I get angry at you, you always act like you're innocent and I'm the villain. For once, could you just admit that you're wrong?
Elena, are you okay? You sound a bit shaken.
Oh, hey, Noah. It's nothing, really. I just got a little bit soaked by some water. It's not like she did any serious harm to me or anything. I'm fine.
Someone saw a guy throwing a bucket of water on you from a window and told me about it. That was so rude and uncalled for. Where are you right now?
I'm at the rental clothes store that's near the funeral home.
Oh, I see. So you rented some black clothes to attend the funeral, right?
Yeah, that's right. Someone from the shop saw that Destiny had drenched me with water and kindly offered to help me. They brought me here to get some dry clothes.
I'm glad that things are not too bad for you. They're going to give you a new set of clothes, right?
Yeah, fortunately the owner is a very nice person. He said he would not charge me for getting anything extra. I also thought about getting a wig and some glasses while I'm here.
What? Why would you need a wig and glasses for?
To change my appearance a bit, so I could sit with the rest of the relatives at the funeral without drawing too much attention to myself.
What? You don't have to hide yourself like that, Elena. You didn't do anything wrong. He's your father after all.
But...
I'll be there with you the whole time and protect you from anyone who tries to bother you.
What? You'll do that for me?
You're my fiancé. I already talked to the funeral director and got permission to sit with your relatives. So it's not going to be a problem. Even Destiny will have to act civil if she's in front of a crowd of people. Don't worry about it. Just go back to the funeral and say goodbye to your father. Even though you weren't his biological daughter, you were probably closer to him than anyone else in that funeral. Even Destiny.
Noah, you're amazing. I don't know how I could cope without you. Thank you so much. I'll go back as soon as I change into the new clothes.
What is your problem, Alanya? Why is Noah standing watch next to you the whole time like a bodyguard?
Hello, Destiny. I know you're angry with me, but throwing a bucket of water on my head like that was very rude and childish. I would have been happy to talk to you and sort out our differences, but you didn't want to listen to me at all.
This again? I hate how you always play the victim and make me look like the bad guy. You don't seem to get it yet. You're not supposed to be at this funeral. You have no right to be here. Also, Noah's supposed to be my fiancé, not yours. He belongs to me.
Huh? What does Noah have to do with anything? And what do you mean by that? He was supposed to be your fiancé. Since when?
I mean, doesn't it make sense that a person who's going to inherit father's company should marry the CEO's only daughter? That's what Mom said too. And besides, he's way too good for you anyway. You don't deserve him.
Are you trying to say that it's already decided that Noah is going to be the next CEO of the company? Where did you hear that from?
I mean, isn't it obvious? For some unknown reason, he's engaged to you, who isn't even related to Dad by blood, but he was supposed to be with me. You know, this is a rare chance for me. So I'll be taking Noah away from you, okay?
This has nothing to do with whether Noah is going to be the next CEO or not. What you're saying doesn't make any sense, Destiny. You're just making things up.
You're annoying to talk to. You're going to leave this funeral right now. And Noah is going to be mine. End of story. Oh, I almost forgot. There's something Mom wants to tell you. She said you shouldn't think that a stranger like you has any right to receive any inheritance from Dad.
Sorry, but I'm not going to leave the funeral, and I'm not going to give up on Noah either. And what's that about the inheritance? Is she telling me to renounce my share of the inheritance when he was my father too?
Fine. Stay at the funeral if you want. Just know that you're not welcome here. Everyone hates you. Oh, and as for Noah, I'll deal with him myself later. And yes, that's what Mom is saying. I agree with her, by the way. Why should a complete stranger like you inherit anything from my dad, who was a CEO? He probably has a huge fortune waiting for me.
I don't think this is something we should be arguing about on the day of his funeral. It's disrespectful to Dad. His will is going to be read by a lawyer after the memorial service is over, right? Company can't just wait until then. They need to decide who's going to be the next CEO as soon as possible. So I think it's best not to say or do anything stupid for now. You don't want to ruin the chances, do you?
I didn't quite catch what you said, but I'm going to take Noah from you, all right? Noah himself would probably choose me, the CEO's real daughter, over a complete stranger like you, especially if he's interested in the position of CEO.
Well, I guess we are just strangers to each other then. I can't understand why you don't like me, but that's not a reason to treat me the way you've been treating me. You're being very mean and unfair.
Finally, you understand. I don't care what you think as long as you get out of my life. You made a big mistake, Alanya. Noah, the next CEO of Dad's company, is going to be mine now. Too bad for you, I guess, huh?
But it was already decided before Dad passed away that Noah wouldn't be the next CEO. He didn't want to take over the company.
Huh? What are you talking about? What do you mean he's not going to be the next CEO? That's impossible. Hi, Noah. I'm your new fiancé from now on, so I hope we can get along well. I'm sure you'll be happy with me.
What are you talking about, Destiny? You're making no sense. My fiancé isn't you, but Elena, your sister. We're in love with each other.
Oh, that's been cancelled. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
Huh? Cancelled? What do you mean by that? Who cancelled it?
Dad messed up a bit. He made a mistake and arranged for you to be engaged to Alanya. But in reality, you're supposed to marry me, not her. That's what he really wanted, which is why I'm going to fix things now that Dad is gone. I'm sure he would approve.
My marriage with Elena has nothing to do with the company's interest, though. We got engaged because we love each other, not because of some business deal.
But just wait a little bit longer, and I'll get my hands on Dad's inheritance. He left everything to me, you know? If you don't marry me, then the position of CEO is going to be harder to obtain. You know, you don't want to miss this opportunity, do you?
I don't quite follow what you're saying. What does the inheritance have to do with anything? And why do you think I want to be the CEO?
What? How can you be so clueless? Don't you want to run the company that Dad built? You want to be rich and powerful, right? And you don't want to be with me, the CEO's daughter?
It doesn't matter what you say, Destiny. You're wasting your time. My fiancée is Elena, and no one else. I have no intention of getting married to any other woman, especially not you. Goodbye.
What's the meaning of this? Why are you the next CEO of the company? This has got to be some sort of mistake. What dirty trick did you use to make this happen? Did you bribe someone? Did you blackmail someone? Or did you hack the system?
Destiny, it looks like you're misunderstanding the whole situation.
What? How am I misunderstanding? It's very clear to me. You somehow managed to steal the position of CEO from me. You're not even qualified for it.
I'll try to explain to you what happened, all right? Maybe then you'll see that you're wrong.
Fine. Explain it then. But I doubt you'll convince me.
Well, we first need to talk about why your father adopted me in the first place.
It's because Mom and Dad couldn't quite bear a child, right? They tried for years, but they couldn't conceive. But then I was miraculously born after they adopted you. I was their miracle baby.
It's true that they couldn't bear a child before they adopted me, but everything else is wrong. You're not their miracle baby.
Huh? What are you talking about? Of course I am. They told me so.
They didn't tell me how much you knew, but it seems that you didn't know the truth. I'm Dad's biological nephew.
What? His nephew? How is that possible?
Yes, I'm his sister's daughter. His sister and her husband, meaning my real parents, suddenly passed away after getting into a car accident. They had no other relatives who could take care of me. So your father took custody of me and adopted me as his daughter. That's what I heard from him.
Oh, is that so? So does that mean we're cousins? We're related by blood?
Yes, we are. About the next CEO of the company evaluates people entirely on their skill and performance. It's just a coincidence that the next CEO, me, also happens to be related to the previous CEO, your father. I was one of their employees who was chosen as candidates for the next CEO. And luckily, they noticed my hard work and dedication and chose me.
So what about Noah? How does he fit into this?
I've been going out with him since he was in his second year of high school. I'm only marrying him because I love him. It has nothing to do with the company or the inheritance.
No way. But I heard that he was very competent at his job. He was at least chosen as one of the candidates for the next CEO, right? He was your rival.
I didn't know you had the wrong as well. Noah isn't even employed at the company. He works at a different place. Where did you even get that information from?
Seriously? But I always thought that Dad had brought the two of you together. Since he was planning to make Noah the next CEO, he wanted to keep the company in the family.
What? You read way too many short stories, Destiny. That's not how it works. Well, do you understand the situation now? There's a lot of things I need to learn if I'm going to be the next CEO. So I'm quite busy. I have to go now. Bye.
This can't be true. This is completely different to what I thought was happening. Why did I get everything so wrong? How could I be so mistaken? Why? Why is Dad's will like this? How can this be fair? You inherited all of Dad's property, his company, his money, everything. And me and Mom just get a few gifts that are worth nothing?
It's just as the will says. Apparently you're not Dad's child legally. You're not his biological daughter. Your father was actually a different man. And you were only born because Mom cheated on Dad with a man. I was shocked when I saw this on the will too. It looked like Dad even had proof that you aren't his real daughter. So there can't be any doubt.
What? That's impossible. That's a lie. You're lying to me, right?
I'm not lying to you, Destiny. I'm telling you the truth. I'm sure Dad was conflicted by this fact all this time. He probably could have divorced Mom whenever he wanted to with the proof that she cheated on him. He could have even thrown you away with her since you weren't his actual child. But he didn't do that. He kept you and raised you as his own.
Huh? So after all this time, you were the one who's related to Dad and not me? You were his real daughter. Why didn't he tell me about this sooner? Why did he keep this a secret from me?
Dad wasn't the type of person to discriminate between us just because of the conditions surrounding our births. He probably didn't tell us to keep the family together. Maybe he knew that if he told us, he and Mom would have gotten divorced. And that would have hurt us both. This proves that he did in fact care for you as well, Destiny. Because if he hadn't, he would have just left the family to fall apart and leave you with your mother to your own devices. You were just too blinded by jealousy to see that he cared for you as much as he cared for me. I think that's what's written in his will and his final decision after years of inner torment. So I'm going to do as Dad's will says. Goodbye for now, Destiny. I hope that one day we can come to terms with each other and be the siblings that we always were.
But if he cared for me as much as he cared for you, then why did he give you more inheritance? Why did he favor you over me? I want that money as well. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I was supposed to get rich after Dad died. I was supposed to inherit everything. Noah, marry me instead of Alanya. That sounds like a good idea, don't you think?
Destiny? What in the world are you talking about? Why are you saying such nonsense? Why should I marry you? I don't love you. I love Elena.
You see, I was such an unlucky child all this time. I had to live with the fact that I wasn't Dad's real daughter, and that Alanya was his nephew, and his favorite.
Oh, you mean how you ruined your father's actual child? I guess it's a bit ironic how you kicked Elena out of her father's funeral. You said that she wasn't actually related to him and that she had no right to be there, when in reality, you're the one who wasn't related to your father and she was his blood relative.
Yes, I never wanted this to happen. I never wanted to find out that I was the product of Mom's affair, and I can't even receive an inheritance because of Alanya. She took everything from me. She took Dad's love, his money, his company, and now you.
Why does Elena have to do with this? Your father simply gave Elena more money than you and your mother, simply because he thought Elena would have made better use of it, I think. I doubt he was petty enough to give Elena more money just because he liked her more. It simply isn't good parenting. You and your mother are housewives without a job, right? You don't have any skills or ambitions. But Elena has a promising career. In fact, she's now the CEO of her father's company. She worked hard and earned that position. And so that's probably why he gave her the money. He wanted to support her future.
But if Alanya never existed in the first place, then at least I would have been Dad's only legal child. And me and Mom would have been able to receive an inheritance. Isn't that so? We would have been happy and rich. And we would have had everything we wanted.
Destiny, do you realize that you're being extremely rude to Elena? You're acting like she's the cause of all your problems. You're blaming her for something she had no control over. She didn't choose to be born as Dad's nephew. And of course, she didn't choose to be adopted by him. Besides, she didn't choose to inherit his property. She also didn't choose to fall in love with me. She's just living her life the best way she can.
What? Who cares if I was being a bit rude? I was only telling her the truth. She was trying to lay claim to Dad's inheritance, even though she was just a stranger to him. She had no right to take anything from him. That's why I told her to get out of my sight. And to stay away from you.
It's true that the business of inheritances can be complicated and people need to handle them logically. But after your father died, while everyone else was quietly mourning your dad with whatever thoughts they might have had for him, the sight of you and your mother looking so excited for the inheritance was disturbing. Simply put, you didn't seem to care about his death at all. You only cared about his money. I'm not surprised your dad chose to give his inheritance mainly to Elena. With that personality of yours, I'm actually surprised he didn't divorce your mother and let go of you sooner. It just goes to show how kind of a man he was. He loved you despite everything.
It's not like that. Dad always treated Alanya better than me. And now I know why. It's because I wasn't actually his real child. And Alanya was his nephew all along. He loved her more than me. He favored her over me. And I never intended for it to seem like it wasn't sad about my dad's death. And I only cared about the inheritance, Noah. I was sad about Dad's death, just like everyone else. You just didn't notice it. You were too busy looking at Alanya. And what do you mean, that personality of yours? I'm a much better person than Alanya. She just pretends to be the saint, when in reality, she just does it to make people like her. And me and Mom are the only ones who realize it. We're the only ones who see her true colors.
I knew that's what she would say. It's not like your dad ever told me anything, but I don't think that he treated Elena better than you simply because you were the child of another man, and Elena was his nephew. Elena's father was the kind of person that judged someone entirely on who they are as a person. You can see it in how he runs his company, where employees are evaluated entirely on their skill, right? This means that your father was more fond of Elena than you, simply because he liked her better as a person. Although I will admit that a father treating their children with different levels of love is a bit unfair, and I'll forgive you a little bit for that. But saying that you never intended for it to seem like you weren't sad about your dad's death and that you only cared about the inheritance is actually just as bad as saying that you did intend for it to look like that. Because now, you're just someone that has no regard for manners and what other people think.
Nor, don't say things like that. It wasn't my fault that I wasn't actually my father's child, and that Alana was his niece. I didn't ask for any of this to happen. Please. I have no one else to depend on. Why don't you want to marry me?
I feel bad for your situation, but sorry. I'm not gonna marry you no matter how much I pity you. Because I love Elena and no other woman. Goodbye, Destiny. I hope that you someday find happiness of your own.
Dad was the owner of the house Destiny and her mother lived in, but it was now my house after the inheritance. It seemed the two were too proud to live in a house owned by me, so they used a little money they received as a gift from Dad to find an apartment. Actually, the gift money they received was only a little compared to the rest of the inheritance, but it was still quite a large sum of money. But for some, the two of them decided that this would be the funds they needed to start gambling, even though they needed the money to get by until they could even start providing for themselves. Though they intended to earn some easy money by winning, they eventually lost all of it. Now the two of them support themselves by working a job that comes with housing. But since the two of them have never worked a day in their lives, they frequently make mistakes and get scolded by their other employees. The two now live in poverty and constantly have fights. It seems me and Noah, on the other hand, got married a few months after the memorial service took place, which is also when I started to be more comfortable with my new position as the new CEO. We decided to find a new house as a way of putting the past behind and starting anew. And I decided to sell the house that I inherited from Dad. I kind of feel bad for Destiny. After all, she thought that she was her dad's real child her whole life. But to be honest, I don't think Dad was the kind of person to judge a person based on something like that. So I also feel that what happened to her was ultimately her own doing.